GGRC.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of GGRC. I'm RC, and today we're going to be doing a very long overdue review. This is for the GC Video Plug and Play adapter for the GameCube. I guess that would be GameCube Video Plug and Play adapter? I don't know. The name is not great for this, but what do I think of this adapter? Is it great? So let me start off by saying I am a huge GameCube fan. This is probably my favorite console. Don't really know why. I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that it was one of the first consoles I can get, and, financially I could sustain, my games for it and everything like that. It's the first console that, I actually bought most of my own games for, which was pretty great back in the day. This actually isn't my original. This is a second one that I have. My original is in, a box somewhere, some way. But both of these happen to be ones that support this adapter here, and we'll get more into that in a second. But yeah, the things I love about this game, the GameCube here, is the fact that discs are super tiny. Like here I have the Game Boy Player disc. It's the mini disc, and I just love how it just snaps in there like that, and then, oh man, I just love how tactile and everything this system is. And then, of course, the memory cards here, they go in the slots here. The GameCube memory card goes in like such. Oh man, just awesome. I love the feeling of the way everything works with this console. And it's made even better by having the Game Boy player on the bottom, and you being able to slide games in there as well. So I just absolutely love this console. So anyway, enough gushing. Moving on to the adapter. The reason why I really wanted this is because I love this console so much, and the fact that it actually allows you to play games over HDMI connection. Now, previously this wasn't something that could be done. Previously, the only thing that was available was a component adapter. So you'd plug it into the back of the system here, and then you'd have the 5 cables of a component cable that could plug into the back of your television. Of course, this is 2018. No one's using component cables anymore. So there have been a few sort of, I guess, grassroots companies just 3D printing these things. They found the way to actually convert the HDMI signal so that way, or rather the HD signal so that way it runs through an HDMI connection here, which is really, really cool. Alright, so the way it goes in is you have the back of your GameCube here, and for those of you who have a GameCube that supports this, if this is something you're interested in, you're going to have 2 connections here. You're going to have your analog AV out and a digital AV out. This is going to connect into the digital AV out, and this connection, boom, right into there, and then there you go, it's in. It's a little awkward though, because it sticks out kind of far from the GameCube. If you could see that, there's the handle, there's the actual connection there, and the HDMI actual cord doesn't plug into this side or this side, it plugs into this side. So having it round out the side and then go into plug in is a little strange. So one of the specific things that's bothered me about this adapter is that the guys who put it together, I don't know if it's one guy or his group of friends or whatever, but it's the ZXP cables, Zelda whatever cables or whatever. For one, this is $100, okay? It's not cheap. It's cheaper than the component cables, yes. I mean, component cables for GameCube nowadays can be upwards between $200 and $300 depending on who you're buying from. This is still $100 though. It's $40 more than a brand new game. So you're really, spending a lot of money on something, and you're buying this because you love a console, right? And that's the position that I was in. So I was like, oh cool, this is available. The thing that bothered me most about ordering this one though is the fact that they keep coming out with revisions of it. So when I originally pre-ordered this for $100, he had a I think it was the version 1 available, and it was a little bit more ugly than this one. I think it was a little bit bigger, different color. I don't know. I forget exactly what the difference was. But this is the part 2 or series 2 or however you want to refer to it, and it works fine. You plug it in, works HDMI, works great with certain games. However, they now have revision 3 out now. So if you buy it, you're getting the same thing. Revision 3 is so much better looking than this one, and I think that's actually what I'm most upset with this thing, is that it works, but I really wish they would have done more testing over the months that they were developing it and came out with just a final product that they were just shipping out for people. I was a bit irritated that I got this and then just a couple months later they said, oh, here's revision 3. Not only is it smaller, but it's easier to connect a remote to it. So I've actually had a few problems with this one as well, too. When I went to first plug it into this, it plugged in just fine, right? But when I plugged in an HDMI cable from this to my television, I couldn't get the picture to show up the first couple times that I plugged it in. So I'm like, oh great, I got a faulty thing here. But I'm glad I kept with it because it wasn't faulty. It just ended up, I don't know if I had to wiggle it or mess with it a little bit, but it ended up working, which is great. However, there is one thing about it that never ended up working, which is the fact that there's supposed to be a menu you can access with it if you use the right kind of remote. Now, certain remotes that have the right infrared setup in them can actually connect to this, and you could select a bunch of different settings on it to, you know, bring on scan lines and do a bunch of other little things too, and I would have really liked to play around with that. What you're supposed to be able to do is, you know, you could kind of see it a little bit here. It's this little button, and when you push it, there's the button there. When you plug it in, and then when you have it on screen and you push it, it's supposed to bring up a menu for you to actually be able to connect your infrared remote to it, and you can, the remote temporarily works only for this, and you assign buttons to it to go up, down, left, right, and then, you know, enter whatever. I've only been able to get that menu to show up, I think twice. Once was when I first got it going and I pushed it and I was like, oh, here's the menu. So I did it with the remote, but for some reason could not get the remote to work past the first two entries. So I think it went like up, left, right, down, or something like that, whatever it was. I got the first two and then it just completely stopped reading the remote and I could not access the menu. So fast forward a little bit later, a couple months later, and I hit this thing probably a good like 50 times and the menu finally showed up again. So I was like, okay, I'm trying the same remote. Then I tried a different remote. Then I tried a third remote and I couldn't get any of them to work with it. So whatever video that the guy put up showing how this works, I was pretty irritated because he's like, oh yeah, you just connect this, touch that, blah, blah, blah. It works this easy. And I could not get it to work that easy. And that's actually part of the reason why it took me so long to do the review for this thing, is because I actually contacted them. I've been waiting for them to get back with me about, you know, the faulty, you know, menu selection on this thing, and no one's ever gotten back with me, which really irritates me because right here on their website, they actually say something along the lines of, we pride ourselves on great communication. Yeah, at the bottom of their page it says, ZXP Cables is dedicated to providing the best quality product, excellent customer service, and effective communication. So, I don't know. I would definitely say the customer service is far from excellent there, ZXP. So besides those little things, I mean, honestly, what do I think of it? Well, it works well. You plug it in, it connects through HDMI. Games do look better, but, you know, instead of just talking about it, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to show you some video footage that I recorded of a bunch of different games just to give you an idea of what this actually does. Well, look at this. Sushi decided to join me mid-review, but hey guys, we're going to start with a banger here as far as video games go. This is Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee. Now, this is a great little fighting game that's on the GameCube, and I believe they've done you know, other games in this series on other systems and whatnot, but I remember playing this on the GameCube and very fond of it. And as you can see here, this is recorded through HDMI, through the adapter here, and man, does this game look really good. Like, you can't tell that this was actually recorded off of a system that is this old. Like, this system is now like probably 15 years old at this point, close to that, and this game is, you know, probably around that age, like 12 to 14 years old, and this just looks really, really good. Look at the characters, look at the colors, the frame rate is up. You can see it dip a little bit here and there, but it is running at a steady 60 FPS most of the time, I think it's until the smoke shows up and everything. But man, this is a great little game. If you haven't played it before, I definitely recommend checking it out, but it looks really, really good with the HDMI adapter. And here we are checking out Super Monkey Ball next. Now, everybody remembers this fun little game where you play as the monkey and the ball trying to collect bananas and whatnot. And I think this game really benefits from having the HDMI adapter. It may not look as good as Godzilla, but what I do have to say is that, man, look at the colors, look how vibrant it looks, and you can definitely tell it has a frames boost as well. But yeah, look at the little monkey go collecting these bananas and everything. It just looks really, really nice. Now, of course, what everybody wants to see is Mario. So here's Super Mario Sunshine. You know, this is one of the games I was a bit disappointed with because I know that this was an early release for the GameCube, but you know, colors look a bit dull. You know, it doesn't look super great. you know, it does have, at least from what I can tell, is an improved frame rate. It's definitely running at 60 frames per second when it can pull it off. But overall, like, you know, when I was playing this on the HDMI, I gotta say I was pretty disappointed. Well, speaking of Mario, here's Mario Kart Double Dash, which might be my favorite Mario Kart. You know, it might be in the running against 8, but that's a debate for another time. But regardless, this is another game like Godzilla that really benefits from having the HDMI adapter. It runs in 60 frames per second, just solid the whole way through. I don't really see any dips or anything when I was playing through with it. And it just looks so colorful and vibrant. This is a really, really, really great looking game with the adapter. I can't say enough about it, but yeah, this is definitely one that, along with Godzilla, that I can't wait to get more into, or at least revisit on those days where I want to pull the GameCube out and play a few games. And continuing with a little bit more Double Dash here, I just want to show off the next level here on the beach, because look at the colors on this. Man, does that look nice. Now, this is a game that I've been wanting to play on the channel for a while, probably about as long as I've been wanting to do this GameCube HDMI adapter review. But regardless, this is Metal Arms Glitch in the System. Now, this is a really cool third-person action game with a bit of a tongue-in-cheek humor. If you haven't played it, it's a game that I have really fond memories of, but it's a game I haven't finished. I really want to get back to and play it. And playing it on the GameCube here might be the way to do it. Now, viewing it in this smaller video here, the game looks really, really good, but it's one of those games, because it's at such a low resolution, that when it blows up to a big screen, you can definitely tell that it's got, you know, some aliasing issues. You can see the jagged edges around the characters and that kind of thing. The game typically runs at 60 frames per second, but you can see right there, when things start to get a little hairy, there's more firing going on screen, more things happening at once. Like, you could see right there when he jumped, it was like 60, and then as soon as he turned around to face all the enemies, it immediately knocked the frames per second down to probably 30 frames or whatever there. So this one definitely goes back and forth. So this was one of those games that I was really looking forward to seeing what it was going to look like on the HDMI adapter, and I could say that I'm a little torn on it, because in some ways it looks really, really good, but the colors are not as vibrant as I was expecting. It still looks a little muddy. Obviously it looks way better than composite cables look, but it still looks a little muddy. And that might just be because of how the game was produced and everything, which is, you know, fine, I get it. But regardless, it doesn't hold a straight 60 frames per second all the time, which is a little disappointing as well. But regardless, like, this is definitely a game I want to come back to at some point. Alright, so another classic game here is Metroid Prime. Everybody loves this game, right? Well, actually, it's pretty back and forth on how much people like this game here. But regardless, it was a game that I really liked here, and you can actually tell in the video that this is running at a straight 60 as well. It's another one of those situations, though, when, you know, too many things happen on screen at once, the frame rate is going to dip. And I'm never a fan of that on consoles. I always like it to just be a straight 60, you know? But regardless, you could definitely tell that the game it really benefits from having this adapter plugged in, because not only are the frames per second hitting 60, you know, in most areas of the game, but the colors look a lot brighter too. Whenever Samus shoots her gun here, you can actually see those yellow bullets, and it is very vibrant. Look at the smoke and everything. You know, it doesn't look as you know, particle-y, pixelated, that kind of thing. This game is definitely worlds away from anything that it looked like on composite. That's for sure. So next up we have Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy, which in my opinion is one of the I guess, most underrated gems during the GameCube PS2 era. It's such a great little game. For those of you who haven't seen it, it is sort of a Zelda-esque action game. It's very, very cool. But regardless, this game really, really benefits from the HDMI adapter. You can see in this video that it is running at straight 60 FPS the whole time. When at the time that I was recording this, I didn't see any dips, any problems or anything. And the game looks so much better. Like, this it looks like an HD remake, and I know recently they actually came out with the Sphinx HD remake on Steam, so it already looks much better if you want to play it in 1080p on your PC or something. But wow, I just couldn't believe how much better this game looks on the GameCube with just a little adapter. So cool. And here we go, another classic GameCube title, The Wind Waker. Legend of Zelda, of course. Man, what a great game. But because of the cell shading that's in this game, this might be the best looking game on the HDMI adapter that I have seen. Like, just look how bright and vibrant the colors are in this. And you can definitely tell too that it's running at, again, a full 60 frames per second, which is always important to me. So I mean, if you want to go back, plug in your GameCube to this HDMI adapter, play some Zelda, this might be your best bet. This might be the best game to play right here, because it just looks absolutely gorgeous. So far, like this, Godzilla, and Double Dash have been my favorites. Here we go, another GameCube gem that nobody talks about. As I've talked about on the channel before, guys, I am a 3D platforming fan, and Vex is one of those games that came out during the era that I actually liked. Now, keep in mind, this game is very hard. If you haven't played this one before, it is a challenging game. I don't think that I've ever actually made it through it. I put a lot of hours into it, but some of the things that this game wants you to do in it is just, it's ridiculous. But again, discussion for another time, but this game is another one that definitely benefits from the HDMI adapter. So it seems like so far, the majority of the games that we're checking out definitely benefit. Now, the one thing I will say is that the textures and everything still look a little bit muddy, and that might just be because of the game, but again, it's running at a full 60 frames per second, which for me, usually is more important than the muddy textures here. But man, if you just look at this, look at the way Vex moves and everything, look at, you know, his kicks and his jumps and everything, it just looks really, really good. Now here's another long-forgotten GameCube game that people just don't talk about anymore. It's Beautiful Joe. Now this game, I can't tell, maybe I'm just watching too many of these videos back to back, but I can't tell if it's benefiting off of the 60 frames per second or not. It's really hard to tell with the art style and everything, but I will say that this game definitely looks more colorful, more vibrant, and all the aliasing that you would see in composite, you know, all the jagged edges on the characters' heads and stuff like that, a lot of that is gone. So Beautiful Joe is definitely another one that you can chalk onto the list of games that just look that much better with the HDMI adapter. Now, of course, we couldn't have this video without a bit of racing, right? Here we are in Smugglers Run. Now, this game is a ton of fun. It's a lot of fun on the GameCube to play, for sure. However, the textures and colors and everything look really, really muddy, and I don't think that that is the HDMI adapter's fault. I believe that is the game's fault. Still just looks really, really brown, tough to make out stuff and everything. But it is running in a full 60 frames per second. It doesn't look like there's much slowdown. Let's see when they go through the fog here. Yeah, not really any slowdown to be seen there. So definitely one of those games that, like, it may not look a whole lot better. A lot of the aliasing, again, is gone, but it definitely runs a lot better. Okay, how about a little bit of Super Smash Bros. Melee for you all here? We got Bowser versus Mario versus Peach. I mean, this is perfect, right? This is definitely a game, again, that benefits from it. You can tell how much more vibrant the game looks, and it is running in full 60 frames per second. I mean, can we expect any less at this point? All of these games so far have looked that much better, and Smash Brothers is no different. Well, you guys didn't think I would end without a little bit of GameCube adapter action, right? You know, we gotta use this thing. We gotta see what the games look like on here, and again, the colors just look that much better. You know, I don't know that you could really compare this to a Game Boy Advance or whatever as far as colors go, because they're just going to look really good on that tiny, tiny screen, but now they look this much better on a huge screen. So, I mean, that's the big benefit there. As far as the frames per second, I don't think you're going to be noticing too much of a difference there with these games, but I mean, I could be wrong there, but at least personally, I don't notice much of a difference. But the game does look really cute and very vibrant and very colorful, and again, just fully improved by this HDMI adapter. So in closing, I mean, you saw all the games, you've heard a lot of my, you know, you heard my diatribe at the beginning of this, how I feel about it, some of the troubles I've had with it and everything, but overall, how do I feel about this? You know, is it worth the money? Is it something I'm happy I bought? Well, I can go 50-50 on it. I'm going to say maybe even 60-40. 50 to 60% of me says this was definitely a worthwhile investment, because anytime I grab my GameCube out, you know, the 2 or 3 times I hook this up a year to play a game or to, you know, just reminisce about old games I used to play or whatever, the fact that I can hook this up to a brand new TV, you know, without having to hook up the old composite cables or anything like that, I feel like is a huge, huge get. That is such a big deal for me. But the other hand, though, I really wish that this thing would have worked with all of its promised features. You know, I wish the menu would work. I wish I could get the remote to work with it. But the fact of the matter is that it is plug and play. You plug it in, HDMI adapter works. And you know, that's the best part about it. The other part of the 40 to 50% of me that's a little iffy on this is that this didn't work for me when I first got it out of the box, and part of me feels like it may not work for me later on. You know, it might be something that just stops working in a year, and you never know, right? And the fact of the matter is that you know, I can't get in contact with anybody who had you know, had any hand in creating these. So if it does go bad, I mean, what am I supposed to do? So in the end, this thing will make all of your GameCube games look great, that's for sure. And with the new revision of it, revision 3, a lot of the kinks of this thing may have been worked out. The menu issues and all that stuff may have been worked out, but I don't know because I have revision 2. So that's where we're at. Like I said, probably a 60-40 split on this if I had to say. 60% of me, I'm very happy I bought it. The other 40, I'm like, I wish it had these other things. So that's pretty much where we're going to leave it there. Well, there you go, everybody. That is my review for the GameCube plug-and-play HDMI adapter. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube, and don't forget to check out my Steam group as well. I'll see you all next time.
GGRC.